Well, good morning everybody, and welcome back to my unprocessed life. I decided to go take a walk this morning. Since I'm working from home today, I didn't need to go in, and so I thought I would take a walk and a little bit of exercise in. I'm not sure how, there seems to be more wind out here this morning than I expected, so I'm not sure how that's going to interfere with the recording quality this morning. So we'll just have to see how that goes. Hopefully it won't be too bad and it won't cause too much of a problem. So let's see, where did I leave off yesterday? I think I was getting ready to go to my guitar lessons, and what I did was I didn't drink my last smoothie, and I went and got a sandwich. And since I knew I was going to be working from home today, I knew it was going to be easier to stay raw most of the day. And I knew that I wouldn't be going out, had the opportunity to do something like that. So I thought this would be a good time to do that. And it worked out well. Afterwards, I went to Whole Foods and got a case of bananas and my water. And I found a good deal on strawberries. I got strawberries for about $3 a pound, a little bit more than that, which they're usually twice that. So, and they were organic too, so that was nice. And I got some romaine lettuce as well to go with the juicing for this morning. And today I had a pleasant surprise. When I got up, I ended up losing another 2 pounds. So it kind of feels like we're getting on the right track as far as a little bit of weight loss, along with the healthy food and rebuilding the body a little bit. So that's all good. It's all exciting. Feels like it's going in the right direction. Of course, I know that what we're looking at is mostly water loss. So it will slow down at some point. It won't be 2 pounds in a day. It might be 2 pounds in a week. But that's all right. You know, the first 10 or 15 pounds coming off will feel really good. It'll be a whole lot easier to walk around, you know, without having to carry that bowling ball with me. So there's that. As you can see, just walking puts me out of breath. It's incredibly tough for me to talk and walk at the same time, which just shows you how sick I am, how out of shape I am, and how much I need to continue to do this. So that's what we're working towards, is hopefully finding a way to get to a point where this is easy. I can walk and talk and not be completely out of breath. You know, that's really the whole point of this thing, right? I mean, it is for me, aside from any of the other perks about it. Being able to not be trapped in a fat body anymore will be such an awesome thing. You know, I've put it off for a long time. I've lied and said I didn't care, but inside I really do. Always have. And I know there's a lot of hard work involved, and it's not just one thing. It's a conglomeration of a lot of different things. So, sorry about that. So I know I have to consistently work on multiple areas in my life to try to be able to fix a number of different places, but it all feeds together for losing some weight and getting a little bit healthier. So feeling better. What else? You know, that's about all that's going on right now. I had a liter of water this morning when I got up, and yesterday I did real well. I hit 4 liters of water, I think, or at least 3, not including smoothies and then maybe another half on top of that. So did pretty well with my water consumption yesterday. And today we should be able to do the same thing because we're at home. I got access to the fresh water and all that. And I get back, we'll do some green juice again, which is strangely enough become one of the things that I enjoy. I don't know if it's the perverse pleasure to downing something that doesn't really taste great, but you know, kind of like shooting a tequila shot or something for those drinkers of you out there. You know, it's kind of like, hey, how much green can you stand, baby? At least that's the way it feels sometimes. But then I feel a lot better. You know, that's one of the perks to trying to build your body back up and build your microbiome and trying to get healthier is you feel better. You have more energy. And a lot of times you don't even realize it until you stop eating healthy or you stop exercising or whatever. And that's not just true when it comes to raw food. I've heard people say that throughout the years. Man, I felt so much better when I was exercising on a daily basis. I felt so much better when I was eating right. But we still always go back to our addictions. I got to talk to a couple guys at Whole Foods last night for about 30 minutes. There were some guys that were working there and they were doing their job, stocking the shelves in the produce section, and I wanted to know how come I was buying a case of bananas every week or week and a half. And so we talked about that some, and they were really interested in the whole thought process. You know, they're young kids though, so they're also interested in vodka and and alcohol and having fun, and I don't blame them. It's a lot of fun to do those things, especially when you're young. This, however, is the inevitable end to the overindulgences. Getting fat, sick, and nearly dead, as Joe Cross would put it. Which, if you're into doing juice stuff, that's a pretty good documentary if you haven't seen it. Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. You know, Joe has some pretty interesting stuff in that documentary, and I'd recommend seeing it if you haven't seen it. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of documentaries on Netflix that have good thought processes going on, and I highly encourage you to go out there and check them out. You can check out Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead by Joe Cross, where he basically decides that he wants to try to heal himself, and he goes on a juice fast for 30 days or so. Kind of does what he calls rebooting your life. He reboots his life, and has really great results with it. And then, of course, if you haven't seen Forks Over Knives, I highly recommend seeing that one. Really some amazing stuff. You watch heart surgeons who have these patients who are inoperable. They can't even do bypasses on them because they're so sick. And then after about 3 or 4 months or 6 months on a plant-based diet, they don't even need surgery anymore, which is kind of interesting. Plus, there are a lot of other things too that goes into the Forks Over Knives documentary. And then, if you want to see some of the things about how our processed foods can contribute to challenges here in the US as far as sustainability challenges, You can go check out Cowspiracy. And there are a lot of really great people involved with that film. And if you want to see the atrocities, because everybody likes to see atrocities, if you want to see the atrocities that are perpetuated upon the animals in the world, go watch Earthlings. There's a lot of great documentaries. Food Matters is a great documentary. And of course, there's a lot of good things on YouTube too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be hanging out here. But if you haven't seen those things, I highly recommend them. Or go see Food Inc. There's just a ton of them. And all those things, I'm not saying take any one of those things and latch onto it and say, this is the truth. Yeah, everybody's got their own agenda. As I talked with some meat eaters the other day, that was their argument. Sure, everybody's got their own agenda. I tend to believe that the agenda that the vegan community comes from is twofold. It's mostly in regards to being an ethical vegan about not harming animals. That's really what veganism is, in my opinion. However, the other piece is being as healthy as you can be. And that's where the plant-based diet comes in. And I think that's the agenda for a lot of these folks. It is for me. I'm trying to figure out a way to live longer, to see one of, at least, my two sons graduate from high school. And on the track that I've been on for the last 40 years of my life, that's probably not going to happen. As I've discussed before, all the issues I have, I'm hoping that going down this plant-based lifestyle is going to resolve a number of those issues for me. And of course, exercise is a big part of it. And today is kind of a milestone because it's the first day since I started my unprocessed life where I've gotten out and done any exercise. And you were here to join me. Hopefully, everything will work out in a way that we can all look back and you can be like, man, I remember going on that very first walk. Now, I've obviously gone on this walk once or twice before, but not since I started my unprocessed life. And I haven't really gotten out and done any exercise since then. So this is an awesome day for me. And it's nice because it's a comfortable 70 degrees outside. And of course the wind is blowing. I'm hoping it's not hosing up the audio too much. But the wind makes it a whole lot nicer. It's a lot easier to walk through the down the steps and all that. It kind of cools me off some. Of course, I'm gonna get back in the house and be burning up because I don't have that wind on me anymore. But that's gonna be all right, because I'll have my green juice to take care of me, and my water, and all my probiotics, and all that jazz. All right, I'm about almost at the halfway point of the walk. It's funny when once I get out and start going, I want to get as much of it in as I can. A lot of times that's the challenge for me is just getting started. And maybe that's the challenge for you too, or other people, is just getting out and getting started. Because kind of once you get into it, it's, your momentum's already going, It's one of those challenges is when you don't have any momentum and you have to create momentum. That's the hardest part. I mean, I think that's physics, isn't it? That you have to exert more energy to go from 0 miles an hour to 1 mile an hour than you do, to go from 10 to 20. And so it's that escape velocity, I guess. Now, of course, I'm not a physicist. I didn't even go to a school where they taught those kinds of things. in high school or college, never took physics, so you know, I'm kind of talking out of my rear here. But the nice thing is that you get the concept. I think that's one of the most important things in life, is getting the concept, even more so than the specifics, the ones and zeros sometimes, because the concepts will allow you to apply that philosophy through your life in whatever way you need to. You know, knowledge without application is pretty well useless. And I'm living proof of that. You know, people look at me and go, huh, you're fat. You don't know anything about health or diet. When the contrary is true. And I think a lot of times fat people, overweight people know more about health and fitness than others, because in general they do a lot of research about it because they don't really want to be fat. They don't really want to be unhealthy, and they have a lot of knowledge. The problem is that a lot of the time what they end up doing is not applying that knowledge. Yeah, I know I need to get up every morning, and I know that I need to exercise, and I know that I need to eat healthy, eat more fruits and vegetables, but do you do it? And that's where the challenge comes in a lot of the time. Do you apply the knowledge that you have? I clearly don't. Now I'm working towards it, trying to create some momentum, and I'm feeling like I've done pretty well for the last month or so. Not perfect, not stellar, but pretty well. And I think I've talked about this back when I was doing some videos on the Stark Raving Raw channel. Every day is kind of like a battle when you're talking about being healthy and trying to better your life. And it really applies everywhere. But since the dominating factor on this is my processed life, I want my unprocessed life, then we're going to apply it to that, which is, that hill's always so tough for me, which is everything you do is a battle, or is a war, and that war is made up of battles. Some of them you win and some of them you lose. The important thing is showing up to them. If you show up every day and put the work in, no matter what the result is, ultimately you'll be successful, because as long as you don't let your failures define you, you can learn from them. And every time you learn a little bit more and apply that knowledge, you get to be more successful in the long run. So it kind of goes back to that thing I've talked about before. Maybe, I don't know if I talked about it on this channel or not, but failure is a huge key to success. And the way that it is that you learn and you pick up some knowledge you can apply from that. And then once you've got that applied knowledge and you build it up big enough that you don't make as many mistakes. I remember, I'll tell you a little story. This is a fun one. I learned a lot. Some of the most important, I guess, maybe not important, some of the jobs that I've had the most impact on my life and been most beneficial to me are some of them that I have failed miserably at. I went to work for a company. They called it a high-tech headhunting company. It was O'Keefe and Associates out of Austin, Texas, many years ago now. And I was mentored by the great John O'Keefe, who in his own right was a superstar in the recruiting world. He belonged to a group called the Pinnacle Group, which was a group limited to 100 of the top recruiters in the world. And this is job placement for any of you that are curious about what type of recruitment. placing, you know, company has an opening, you find a candidate, you introduce the two, and they end up taking the job. Recruiting from that perspective. It's changed a lot since the advent of the internet, but it's still out there, it still happens. Anyway, the Pinnacle group was such an exclusive group that even though it was limited to the top 100 recruiters in the world, they never filled more than like 30 or 33 spots because there weren't more than that in the world that could meet those requirements as far as being in the top 100. And John was the president of that, and I was a terrible recruiter. I made one placement and it fell through on the start date. Terrible. I made a lot of mistakes and I learned a lot from it. But you know what I learned a lot from more than anything else? I learned how to be a professional there in a lot of ways. John O'Keefe was a great mentor, and he just had a great way of looking at things. Now, he was a tough guy to work for too, and I know a lot of people that worked for him had issues with his management style, but a really great guy. And it was a lot of the philosophies and disciplines that he taught me in that position that have so translated well into my positions throughout the years. One of the things that he had us do was every morning before we started was to sit down and make a plan for the day. And it was a mandatory thing. You had 30 minutes of planning when you came to work. That's what you did. Even if you were late to work, it didn't matter. You came in and you did your planning for the day, and then you executed that plan throughout the day. That was invaluable to me because it became a habit. And he always just had a great way of looking at things. So there were a number of things that I learned. Like, for instance, I wasn't an IT guy at the time. This was years before I got into the IT game. But he taught you how to understand the language of information technology without having to know information technology. That's commonplace today, but it wasn't back then. And so what he was really a big proponent of was learning philosophies that translated into particular scenarios. So I know I'm kind of bird walking a little bit, but the great thing is that even though I was a terrible recruiter, I never made a placement, I never made him any money. I learned a lot. And from that failure, I have been able to succeed in almost every position I've had since then. Now, I'm not saying that is solely responsible. It was that Keefe and Associates is completely responsible for my success. But what they are responsible for is helping give me the tools to be successful. I took the failure there and I applied the knowledge, and I was able to turn a lot of my career into success because I understood some of those concepts and philosophies. And understanding that, I think, is very key. So, translating that over here to the health world, health and fitness, I am failing, have failed for a long time, but I've learned a lot. So now I'm trying to apply the knowledge. And every day it's a battle that I fight. Do I eat the sandwich? Do I drink the smoothie? Do I keep my calories under a certain point? Do I stay away from cheese and meat and things that are unhealthy? Do I give into the cravings? That whole big picture, it's all there. And what the important piece is that when I fail, when I make a mistake, when I go over on my calories, when I eat a slice of cheese pizza, when I do those things that I really don't want to do, but I end up doing in weakness or whatever the case may be, is that it doesn't derail the war. I still get up every day and I make good decisions. And I try to make good decisions enough times that it eventually becomes a habit. And once your good decisions become a habit, you have won, because that's all you have to do is take your bad decisions, trade them out for good decisions. And then once you've made enough good decisions over time, that will become a habit. I think, man, I'm going to paraphrase badly. I think it was Aristotle who said something to the effect of, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is a habit. Now, I may not have been Aristotle, and I may be misquoting it, and I'll probably end up having to correct it, but I think you get the concept. You get the philosophy. If we are what we repeatedly do, then if we repeatedly choose excellence, then eventually that becomes the habit, and excellence is where we'll be. Weight loss will be what we get. Healthy diets or health will be what we get. Living longer will be what we get. Being successful will be what we get. So, I say all that to say this. Try to make sure you make good choices and try to make them repeatedly. When you do it enough, they become habits. And when those habits are good choices, you're just on cruise control pretty much from there on out. Don't break the habit once it's good. Anyway, all right, well, I've got to go make some green juice. Thank you for spending time with me. I know this is a long one. I think like almost 3 times as long as what I normally do. So I may not have a video later today. We'll just maybe do one video for today. We'll see. But thank you for spending time with me. You know, I love spending time with you. I love communicating with you and having that conversation. And even if it's only one way, I know that there's so many other things you can do with your time. There's so many other people you can spend it with. And so I'm honored to spend it with you. So thank you once again. Of course, if you want to see anything that I eat, you can follow me over on Instagram. You can check out my Instagram feed. It is myunprocessed.life. Or you can email me if you have some questions or you want to talk at myunprocessedlife@gmail.com. And of course, you can always comment down below if you like what you're hearing and you like hanging out with me and you want others to do the same. You got to make sure you share it, otherwise nobody else will see it. And the more you share, the more it motivates me, because then other people get to watch it. I feel like there's more of a conversation, and it motivates me to continue to put things out all the time. So, all right, until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I love y'all, and remember, making good habits over time becomes that excellence that you're looking for.